In the last lap of campaign 2014, the gloves are well and truly off between the BJP and the Congress. If almost on a daily basis, Rahul Gandhi questions what he calls the crony capitalism of Narendra Modi and his links with industrialist Gautam Adani, the BJP has hit back also in its sharpest attack yet on the Gandhi family, releasing a video on Robert Vadra and accusing Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi of shielding him for what they call his dubious land deals. This could be, according to opinion polls, one of the worst defeats that the Congress could potentially face. Where does the campaign stand today, and how much of a back foot is the Congress on? How demoralized is the Congress today? Joining us now is Finance Minister P. Chidambaram. Just about 2 weeks to go. How would you assess it? You've been among those candid enough to say that your government did make mistakes, that you failed to read the writings on the wall, that there was a communication problem, that the government failed to take cognizance of the anger that was building up among angry people. Do you accept that the Congress could be staring at one of its worst ever electoral defeats?
No, I don't.
What is your assessment?
Well, I don't have an assessment. That's the prerogative of
the media and the pollsters.
Pollsters and media. Point is that after 10 years in government, there will be a degree of anti-incumbency. Nobody has been re-elected in Delhi except the Congress since 1984. It's only the Congress government, or Congress-led government, which was re-elected in 2009. But I don't think that you can forecast the result of the election today. I think the elections will throw up a surprising verdict, and I think every formation will have a chance to make a pitch to form the government.
Including the Congress?
I think so.
You think the Congress would be in a position to lead the government or support an alternative to the BJP?
That will depend on who has the votes and who has the leadership. It's not only the votes, it's also the leadership that matters.
When you spoke of acknowledging candidly, as I said, that some mistakes were made, critical mistakes were made, what would you identify as the biggest mistake?
No, I said the political system failed to read the mood of the people. I think 2010 and 2011 were crucial years. Government took a number of steps to anchor the growth rate even while dealing with the global financial crisis. From the government's point of view, the mistake was we failed to communicate what we were doing and why we were doing, and why what we were doing will necessarily entail a price in terms of inflation and high fiscal deficit.
You seem to suggest
the opposition
yes.
equally failed to read the mood of the people in 2010 and 2011, because in 2010 and 2011 I know the BJP was at 6s and 7s and didn't know how to deal with what was happening in and around the country.
You seem to suggest that as far as the Congress or the UPA was concerned, communication or the absence of it was a big problem. What about leadership? I think what's happened today is that you hear this call among ordinary voters that one meets during one's travels, we need a strong leader. You hear people saying this, I'm sure you've heard people saying this as well. A lot of people feel that this vacuum has been created by the Congress in Manmohan Singh virtually abdicating the leadership space in this tenure. Dr. Sanjay Baru, who has been close to Manmohan Singh, has raised this in his book, talking about Sonia Gandhi being the real power center, Manmohan Singh actually being virtually a token prime minister, a rubber stamp prime minister. Do you acknowledge that leadership has been part of the perception battle that the Congress is dealing with today?
The system that was put in place in 2004 and which was hailed by a number of people at that time was there was a division of responsibility. Government would be led by Dr. Manmohan Singh and the party would be led by Mrs. Gandhi. It's the same people who are now criticizing it as a diarchy. I don't want to get into that debate. But I have not heard people say we want a strong leader. I don't know who you're talking to.
Ordinary voters.
Who do I talk to? Extraordinary voters? I talk to voters every day, and I've heard people say They want a leader who will lead all people, who will be acceptable to all sections of the people, who is compassionate and who is wise.
But
I don't think people want a strong leader. Certainly people don't want a Hitler or a Mussolini in this country.
who is Hitler or Mussolini? Whom are you referring to?
I'm not referring to anyone as a Hitler or a Mussolini. I'm saying there are some people who imagine that they can be strong, decisive leaders, and the language they use, their body language, the images they invoke, according to me, border on fascism.
Your reference is obviously to Narendra Modi.
Obviously, I'm referring to him.
But is
because
it responsible?
He boasts of a 56-inch chest to solve India's problems. You don't need a 56-inch chest to solve India's problems.
When you say that you believe that Mr. Modi's politics border on fascism, that's
Yes.
what you've just said.
Yes.
Is that a word you use with a sense of responsibility? And the reason I ask you this is that tomorrow were he to be the Prime Minister of India, are you suggesting that the voters, that the people of this country are fascist for having
No, I didn't
chosen
say
him
that.
so?
I didn't say that. I only say they would have made a wrong choice, and they will pay a price for the wrong choice over a period of time. The point is, anyone who says, vote for me, I have the solutions to India's problems, he goes around every state and makes extraordinary, extravagant promises. I don't think he can even keep the promises he made in his 3 or 4 meetings in Tamil Nadu.
We'll get into how Mr. Modi's campaign and the Congress campaign in a moment. But you didn't talk about what I mentioned Dr. Baru having raised in his book. He seemed to be someone who was on the inside track, at least for one term of this government. He was close to Manmohan Singh. He was his media advisor. Now, the specifics that are raised in his book, Mr. Chidambaram, whether it is about Pulok Chatterjee, whom Dr. Baru argues was inserted into the PMO at Sonia Gandhi's behest and used to meet her almost daily, whether it's a suggestion that Sonia Gandhi used to see key files, whether it's a suggestion that when it came to Narega, there was a bid to give all the credit to Rahul Gandhi and none to Manmohan Singh, whether it's talking about how Manmohan Singh did not want A. Raja in his cabinet, but the party and the DMK bulldozed into doing so. You've been a very senior member of this government. You've been a member of the core group. How do you respond to the specifics that Dr. Baru has raised?
I haven't read his book.
But you've seen his allegations in the media.
I haven't read his book. But I think either Mr. Baru exaggerates his own importance or you are exaggerating his importance. He was not such an important player in the PMO. I know that. He was a media advisor. He perhaps had a contribution to make on the speeches which Dr. Singh delivered. But some of the claims he makes are totally unfounded claims. For example, if he claims that files were sent to Mrs. Gandhi, that's complete nonsense. No file was sent to Mrs. Gandhi.
Never. No file was ever sent to Mrs. Gandhi.
No file was ever
Not
sent
a
to
single
Mrs. Gandhi.
file.
No. There are issues in which the party has a legitimate say.
For example?
For example, whether we should waive the loan of farmers, the party has a legitimate say in that matter. And these are matters which are discussed not only in the cabinet ultimately, but they are discussed anterior to the cabinet, they are discussed in other forum. It was discussed in the core group. And I heard the core group, and I heard arguments why the farm loan should be waived. Of course, I don't make a commitment, but that is a budget statement. The final decision was taken by the Prime Minister and me. But the fact that the party had an input into that decision does not make it illegitimate. In fact, it's a perfectly legitimate input.
But would you not say that Sonia Gandhi enjoyed the veto power over every government decision?
No, she has not vetoed any of my decisions. She has given her view when I asked her view. For example, should the Narega be rolled out and what is the period of time it should be rolled out? Mr. Rahul Gandhi had a view which was communicated to me by Mrs. Gandhi, and I said, yes, I will look into it to see whether we can provide the kind of funds within that period of time.
But should he have been expressing that view given that he was not even a member of the government at that time and not even vice president at the time?
What is wrong? He is a member of the Congress Working Committee and he may express that view to the party president. It is the party president who told me that view. What is wrong with that?
But when...
It's much better than a shadowy group in Nagpur giving dictation.
But do you accept that there was dictation from 10 Janpath?
No.
Do you accept that Pulok Chatterjee had been placed in the PMO to be Sonia Gandhi's eyes and ears?
Again, complete rubbish. Mr. Pulok Chatterjee enjoyed the confidence of Mrs. Gandhi because he had worked with her earlier. He enjoyed the confidence of the Prime Minister because he worked in the Prime Minister's office. He was among the 2 or 3 senior-most civil servants of the country, and therefore he is perfectly suitable for the post of Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister. By the way, why was this question not asked about Mr. Brajesh Mishra? He enjoyed far more power than any civil servant today enjoys. He enjoyed power in the PMO. He was the virtual cabinet secretary. He was virtual vice president of the BJP. Why don't they ask these questions about Mr. Brajesh Mishra?
But the argument being raised, and members of the cabinet did not feel that they owed allegiance to Manmohan Singh because they knew that the real power center was Sonia Gandhi. That the Prime Minister has to struggle to get members of his cabinet to listen to him.
All this is rubbish. You see, I have sat through cabinet meetings for now 10 years. This has been one of the most democratic cabinets that I have been part of. Everybody has a right to speak. And everybody spoke. In fact, sometimes I thought they spoke too much. Even on issues that did not directly concern his or her ministry. That's how cabinet responsibility is. You have to speak on matters concerning your ministry. You must also speak if you have a viewpoint on matters concerning another ministry. This was one of the most democratic cabinets that I have sat in, and it's complete nonsense to say that people did not respect Dr. Singh or Dr. Singh.
He's been dumped by the party. He's invisible in this campaign. He's treated as some sort of political liability.
I don't think so. I think by nature he is not a very strong campaigner. He is by nature a shy, reticent, withdrawn person. He didn't campaign too much in 2000.
Can such a person lead a country?
He did for 10 years. And
but the jury is out on the quality of that leadership.
The jury is out on aspects of the government. But history will judge us to say that we produced the golden period of India's economy, 2004 to 2008. And over a 10-year period, we have produced growth rate of 7.5%, and we have brought 14 crore people above poverty. Those are facts which cannot be wished away.
Would you say that this arrangement of a dual power center is actually an unwieldy one? There are other Congress leaders who have also suggested that going forward, the person who leads the party should also lead the government.
Ordinarily, yes. I think the party leader and the Prime Minister should be the same person. But that has not always been so in free India. In the first years of free India, the party president and the Prime Minister were two different persons, but the Prime Minister was such a tall personality that he overshadowed the party president. Therefore, this will depend upon the times we live in. Today, I believe it's much better to have the party president and the Prime Minister the same person.
We have seen the BJP and Narendra Modi now directly target Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and to some extent Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. And at the center of the latest storm is Mr. Robert Vadra. You have seen the video that's been released. You've seen a booklet that's been called Damashri.
I have not.
Okay, it's come out in the media. They've released an 8-minute video. The allegations, I think, are well known. And there is a suggestion that every time the Congress attacks Mr. Modi for his alleged links with Gautam Adani, you've got one finger pointing right back at you, because Robert Vadra, if Gautam Adani represents crony capitalism, so does Robert Vadra. Now, as finance minister a couple of years ago, you said Mr. Vadra was a private citizen and there was no need at all for a probe. In the light of new allegations, in the light of the Wall Street Journal article, for example, that virtually suggests that Mr. Vadra bought up tracts of land in Bikaner because he was aware that the Congress government was planning a solar energy project in that area. Some would say that's like insider trading. Do you stand by your comment that no probe is needed?
He is a private citizen, and unless somebody files a formal complaint with a government agency, government does not voluntarily say a private citizen must be probed. Someone must file a formal complaint, either with the investigating agency or a tax authority, and then they will look into it. The question that was put to me then was, will you order a probe? I said, why? Nobody has lodged a formal complaint so far, and why should government voluntarily say we will probe a private citizen.
The BJP's argument is that the clean chit given to one of the most contentious deals of Mr. Vadra in Haryana was done under a Congress government. Then one of those officers has subsequently been promoted into a post in the UPSC. And the bureaucrat who dared to question the legitimacy of that deal has been shunted out. That's, of course, Ashok Khemka. This is the BJP allegation.
Somebody must go either to a tax authority or to a competent authority or to an investigating agency and file a formal complaint, which the law will deal with. I mean, why are we applying different standards to different private citizens?
Then why are you applying that standard to Gautam Adani?
I'm not.
Your party is. Your leader Rahul Gandhi is.
What he's saying is, based on facts, that large tracts of land were allotted to Mr. Adani and his group. Land was taken away from farmers. Farmers have protested. Some farmers have accepted compensation. Large tracts of land were allotted. And therefore, he's raising the issue, is it not a case of crony capitalism, where large tracts of land acquired for a pittance is being allocated to an industrialist for a pittance, where the value of the land is much higher, for which you must come up with an answer, point-by-point rebuttal, and if there is malfeasance, obviously the law will have to look into it. He is not saying that a crime has been committed.
My argument is simply this, that if Gautam Adani is an example of crony capitalism for the Congress party, does the party simultaneously accept that the entire debate around Robert Vadra is also a debate around crony capitalism? The allegation being that somebody who did not have the investment or who did not have the capital to buy this land was given advances by a big industrial house, in this case DLF.
Crony capitalism means the state favors certain capitalists, certain business person. That is crony capitalism.
Is this not using, the BJP says, is this not using political equity?
I don't know.
Why would somebody give a startup businessman such a huge advance?
These are fine turns of phrases. You must show that the state, the government, has favored a private citizen contrary to norms, contrary to rules. If A private citizen helps B private citizen, that's a private transaction.
The facts of the case are as follows. Mr. Vadra has bought large tracts of land in Bikaner.
I don't know. So what is the point of your telling facts to me?
But we know he's purchased land in Rajasthan.
I don't know.
But since you raised the question of...
I didn't raise. You asked me crony capitalism, I'm defining it for you.
All right. You spoke about you must show that the state in some way is involved. My answer to that point is that the allegation in Rajasthan is that when Ashok Gehlot was Chief Minister, Mr. Vadra was aware that a big solar energy project was going to come up in a certain area of Rajasthan, and that is why he bought large tracts of land.
What is the favor shown by the state government to him? Tell me that.
Isn't it inside knowledge and knowing that the value of this land will go up?
Wait a minute. You tell me what is this? What did the state government do in terms of either an approval or a permission or an allocation which favored him, as you say, rather than someone else?
Well, in Haryana, Ashok Khemka argues that when the land was changed to commercial use, that application was speedily cleared. He says the check was fictitious.
File a complaint saying that a fictitious check was issued to purchase land which is wrongly allocated. The law will take its course. File a complaint.
Is there
if you guys are so sure about your facts, as I'm sure there are many people who are so certain about the facts, why don't they file a complaint? Somebody should file a complaint either before a tax authority or before an agency. I'm not saying complaint should not be filed.
The BJP says that once the model code of conduct is lifted, once the elections are over, the Rajasthan government will probe.
What has this got to do with the model code of conduct? Does the model code of conduct prevent police from enforcing law and order? Does it prevent an agency from investigating an allegation? Model code of conduct has nothing to do. If you want to look into something, please look into it. I believe that's what the Congress party spokesperson has said. If the Rajasthan government today, which is a BJP government, wants to look into any transaction, please look into it.
So why do you think they have not done so yet?
I don't know. You must ask this question to the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, not to me.
Is there a contradiction in the Congress arguing, as it did then and as it does today, that Mr. Vadra is a private citizen, yet you do see now him at the center of this political campaign, the center of this, one of the elements.
Who is the center of the political campaign?
The BJP is on the campaign trail, has made some serious allegations.
You are using language very loosely. He is not put himself in the campaign.
I'm not saying he's put himself in the campaign. I'm saying
BJP has brought him into a controversy.
And a number of Congress leaders, including the Congress, has officially said that these allegations have been made against Mr. Vadra because the BJP is feeling nervous about Priyanka Gandhi's campaign in Amethi. So how is he a private citizen then?
Well, listen to me. I think you're getting carried away by your own rhetoric. He is a private citizen. A political party brings him into the campaign and makes it a campaign issue. Another political party stands up and says, you're making it a campaign issue only because his wife is leading the campaign in Amethi and Raebareli. It's a political point met by a political counterpoint. That doesn't make him any less a private citizen. He is a private citizen as much as you are.
But then I don't have the Congress party or the BJP lining up to defend me. The Congress party is lining up to defend Mr. Vadra.
Well, if somebody brings you into the middle of a political controversy, in the middle of an election campaign, I wish that some party will stand up to defend you. I'm sure you have friends in parties.
Somehow I doubt that. But more seriously, do you accept that there has been a political embarrassment? That every time you say crony capitalism to Mr. Modi, you have someone saying Robert Vadra to the Congress?
On the contrary, if there's any embarrassment, it is to the BJP. Here there are specific allegations of state-promoted crony capitalism, to which the answer is a private citizen has made money.
But what we do know, and this is factual,
What?
is that Mr. Vadra at some point has a certain amount of capital that is not enough to purchase the land for which he receives advances from DLF.
Please listen to me. If A private citizen helped B private citizen, I'm repeating it, and I thought I made myself clear. That's a private transaction. Unless you show me how the state has helped him, a state government has promoted it.
Arun Jaitley says it's political equity. It's misusing political equity.
Well, Arun Jaitley is capable of coining charming phrases. But the fact is that they have not come up with an answer to the charges of crony capitalism made in respect of the Gujarat government. They should answer that charge rather than try to bring private citizens into a political campaign.
One of the counters that we've seen from the Congress to these allegations is we saw pictures being released of Mr. Modi with a man called Afroz Fatah. The allegation being that this man has Hawala links, Mr. Fatah. Is the Congress now with responsibility accusing Mr. Modi of having links with a Hawala leader?
I don't think they are making any such allegation. All that they are pointing out is that there is a person brushing shoulders with your leader, and that person's background or credentials are suspect. That's all. It's for the people to draw conclusions. If you brush shoulders with undesirable persons, then you must be more careful. And if that person's background or credentials are suspect, people will draw their own conclusions. I don't think the Congress party is making any allegation. I have not heard or read of any allegation.
But the BJP has released pictures of the same person,
quite possible,
with Azharuddin, who's a congressman.
Yeah, it's for Mr. Azharuddin to explain how he came to be acquainted with this person. That's all.
You have Zafar Sareshwala, Gujarat-based business person,
Yeah.
saying that, look, this image is from 2 years ago. I took a business delegation to meet Mr. Modi, and this gentleman, Mr. Fatah, happened to be there.
Quite
So
possible.
why is this a controversy?
Who is saying it's a controversy? All that we are saying is, if you are brushing shoulders with somebody, and if that person's credentials or background is suspect, you have to be more careful with whom you are seen with. That's all. That's all.
And would you say...
why are you making this into a big issue? These are simply statements for what they are worth. That A is seen with B. That's all.
Let's talk a little bit about the very public altercations we've seen between you and Mr. Modi. At some point he said, this is the recounting minister.
Was that true or a lie?
You said it was a lie.
You tell me. Was it a truthful statement or a lie?
As far as we know, there was no recounting.
So it was a lie.
Yes.
First time it was incorrect. When it was pointed out to him, and the facts were pointed out to him, if he repeats it, does it not become a lie?
So why do you think he's lying? What would he get out of it?
I don't know. But since he lied, and after he was corrected, he lied again, what is wrong in my calling him a compulsive liar?
He has, in Bengal, attacked you as well. He has
What did
said,
he say?
he has said in his speech just yesterday that Mamata Banerjee and P. Chidambaram are coming together to shield those who are guilty in the Sharda Chit
This is the
fund
worst rubbish I've heard. Mamata Banerjee accuses me
of going
of
after the
something,
Trinamool.
of something I've not done, namely asking the ED to go after the TMC, and Mr. Modi accuses me of protecting the scamsters. I mean, obviously both can't be right, and I'm glad both have made this statement, because this shows that the ED is acting completely impartially and independently, and I have nothing to do with the ED says. I've not even met the enforcement director for nearly 4 weeks now.
You're saying you know nothing of the cases, Finance
No, wait
Minister?
a minute. I didn't say that. I answered it carefully. I said from time to time, officers have to brief me on the work done by their respective agencies. So the Enforcement Directorate briefs me from time to time. The last briefing I got from the Enforcement Director was about 6 weeks ago. I have not met him in the last 4 weeks or so. And to say that I've unleashed somebody upon somebody, it's complete rubbish. And equally, it's rubbish to say that I'm protecting somebody. Both can't be true.
Mr. Modi says that you are in some ways shielding those who are
But it can't
implicated
be
in this
true.
scam.
When we have arrested, when the ED has arrested people, when the ED has summoned people, obviously we can't be shielding them, can we? It shows logic standing on its head.
So you believe that Mr. Modi is targeting you?
No, I don't think he's targeting me. I think he's targeting Mamta, and in his own style, he's adding spice to his attacks.
The opposition had also, at that time when this controversy brought your wife's name into it. Do you believe Mr. Modi has attacked you because of that?
No, I don't think so. I think that was a completely inconsequential statement. I think it has been explained several months ago that she was advising another lady business person who was contemplating a transaction. The transaction fell through, and she received remuneration for the legal advice she gave to the lady business person. The lady herself has made a statement.
What do you make of Mamata Banerjee calling Narendra Modi the butcher of Gujarat? Is that
Very strong,
language you
very,
agree with?
very strong language. She's perhaps borrowed it from what happened in Serbia. This phrase was used in Serbia. A very strong language. But the fact remains there are nearly 2,000 people belonging to the Islamic faith were killed in Gujarat, and there are serious allegations that the Gujarat government then, under Mr. Modi, was either complicit or negligent or inefficient. So there are allegations of all of them, and therefore that is a matter of grave concern to a large number of people. Mamata ji has used, of course, very strong language.
Would it be language that you would use?
No, I would not use that language. Well, because by nature I don't use very strong words.
You did compare him to Hitler and Mussolini.
I didn't.
You did. I mean, you said he's fascist.
I said fascist, and we know what fascism is. I said if anybody exhibits fascist tendencies, you sort of project yourself as the deliverer of the people of a country, which is what a couple of leaders did prior to the Second World War. That doesn't mean you're comparing them with them. You are only pointing out common tendencies. These are not tendencies that I can accept in a democratic country. We are a parliamentary democracy. Yesterday I pointed out, if Mr. Modi says, your vote directly goes to me, he is mocking at parliamentary democracy. The voter is electing a candidate. What Mr. Modi is implying is, it doesn't matter whether the candidate is a crook or corrupt or a criminal or incompetent, just vote because I have placed him there and your vote goes to me.
Yeah.
That is tendency which I deplore.
You said that if he continues to say recount minister for you, you were going to call him an encounter chief minister.
So is that wrong?
Now, I have a question on that. My question is this, that if you look at the NHRC figures, actually the figures of fake encounters in a state like Uttar Pradesh is staggeringly high compared to the figures in Gujarat.
Quite possible.
So can you really pin the fake encounters debate on Gujarat?
I said, read my sentence, if he insists on calling me recounting minister, in parenthesis, which is a lie, I can call him encounter chief minister. Because after all, 1, 2, 3 encounters took place in Gujarat and they are all under investigation.
Is it responsible for this government's, this outgoing government's law minister to say that Mr. Modi should have been arrested in the Ishrat Jahan encounter case? Who is shielding him when he's not even been charge sheeted, when even Amit Shah has not been charge sheeted?
You have access to Mr. Sybil.
He said it publicly, he didn't say it to me.
This may be clever journalism, but I'll be a poor subject of an interview if I fall for your trap. I'm not going to comment on statements made by A and B. You have come to interview me, not ask my comment on somebody's statement.
One central theme of the Congress campaign has been the allegations of snooping, the fact that state machinery was misused.
Yes.
The government had declared that there was going to be a big judicial inquiry into this. It seems that no judge was willing to take this on. Is this an embarrassment for the government?
That's not correct. I think there was at least one judge, maybe 2, who were willing to take on the inquiry. But I think the government could not make its mind about
whether to do it or not?
No. I think the decision was taken by the cabinet. I don't think the cabinet has reconsidered the decision. They've not been able to finalize the judge. This is a question which the law minister and the home minister must answer. Why did the judge turn it down? The more grave issue is that state machinery, state resources, state officials, a large number of them, constable to IG or whatever, were deployed to snoop on the private life of a private citizen, which I think reveals a very dangerous trait of that government. And this is a matter which deserves to be investigated. There have been similar allegations of snooping in Himachal Pradesh, in Karnataka, whatever. And I think, therefore, it deserves to be investigated. Now, why the notification has not been issued, I cannot say.
In the end, talk a little bit about your comment, where you question the Gujarat model. Now, the Gujarat model can be argued on economics, but would you first accept that it has become a kind of political shorthand for the BJP to talk about assertive leadership, effective administration, that in some ways it's become more of a political symbol than an economic debate?
I think once you say the Gujarat model is the most successful model, you are actually mocking at other states. Just as the Gujaratis have asmita or pride, people living in other states also have pride in what they have achieved. The socio-economic indicators of Kerala are far higher and better than that of Gujarat, and the people of Kerala are legitimately proud of their governments, given their strengths and weaknesses, what they have been able to achieve in terms of literacy, healthcare, and other social benefits. Likewise, the people of Tamil Nadu are very happy about matters like midday meal scheme, literacy, child nutrition, institutional delivery of babies. Tamil Nadu people are equally proud. Therefore, I think when you say the Gujarat model, naturally other chief ministers bristle. Ms. Jayalalitha said, it's not Modi, but the lady who's delivered. Therefore, other people's pride is hurt.
You called him the chief minister of an average state. You said Gujarat is neither of the
top. No, I've got the numbers. You guys don't want to publish the numbers.
Why would we not want to?
Because you're running scared. You're running scared.
Or scared of whom?
All right. Give me television time and I'll tell you the numbers. Okay. GSDP, that is the state domestic product, 5th out of all the states. Per capita, 7th. Poverty head count, 14th. Human Development Index, 9th. Infant mortality rate, 9th. Literacy rate, 12th. Tax collection, 10th. Development expenditure, 14th.
Okay.
Social sector expenditure, 15th. Coverage of roads, 17th. Therefore, how do you say this is the best state? As I said in my media conference, Gujarat is not the worst state in India. Gujarat is not the best state in India. On many parameters, Gujarat is somewhere in the middle. If you take a rough average of this.
So why would you say, so why would you, in the light of these statistics that you have quoted, how would you explain that Mr. Modi continues to win elections in Gujarat? Obviously for the people of Gujarat, he's a chief minister who's delivered.
Well, I don't deny that. How does Mr. Naveen Patnaik win elections in Odisha, although Odisha is one of the poorest states in the country? How does Mr. Raman Singh win elections in Chhattisgarh, although it was the worst Naxal-affected state in the country? For the people of that state, given the choice they have, they seem to think he's the best man, and may the best man win in that state. But to say that the best man in Gujarat, he will peddle his model throughout the country, and the whole country has to adopt that model, and that is the only model that will deliver, is complete balderdash rubbish.
Would you accept that the Congress has failed to create a counter-narrative to Mr. Modi? That in many ways we've seen the Congress getting aggressive only in its last lap. In the beginning there seemed to be a certain coyness of taking him on directly. And talk a little bit about whether, in many ways more than Rahul Gandhi, it is Priyanka, his sister, who is leading a more aggressive campaign, who has shifted gears in this campaign, who has virtually eclipsed the vice president of the Congress party in all the headlines.
These are subjective conclusions which you are entitled to make.
You don't agree?
I don't have to agree with you or disagree with you.
You don't think she's energized the campaign?
She has, but she's confined herself, and for good reasons, to Amethi and Raebareli. The point is, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is traveling all over the country. Each one has his strengths and each one has his goals. So why should we make these comparisons? I mean, you guys are so wise, you should start your own political party and win an election.
No, that is not part of our skill
Why? You know how to run an election, you know how to communicate.
No, we don't.
You
We
know
only know how to ask.
elections.
We know only how to ask, hopefully, the right questions. And the question is this: is there a clamor now within the Congress for her to play a larger role?
No, I don't know. I'm not.
Would you want to see her play a larger role?
I would like her to play a role if she wants to play a role. But the first thing I would like to know is, does she want to play a role? Each one has to live his or her own life. I can't live your life, you can't live my life.
Do you think it was a mistake for the Congress to enter this campaign without declaring Rahul Gandhi to be a prime ministerial candidate? You were in favor of it.
I've given my view. I've given my view.
You believe he should have been?
Yes, that's my view. But ultimately the party's view prevails. I mean, my view need not necessarily be the right view.
Do you accept that there is a certain weakness or an ineffectiveness in countering Mr. Modi when it comes to the Congress?
See, please understand. This is what you guys said in 2004, that we had nothing to match the India Shining campaign. Ultimately, we had the votes to match the India Shining campaign. In 2009, it was worse. Everybody wrote us off. Anti-incumbency will throw this government into the Bay of Bengal. The government came back with an additional 61 votes. I'm not saying what the result of this election will be, but please don't be carried away by the hype that the media is building around Mr. Modi's campaign. Yes, let me say this. He has run a very clever campaign. He's been able to mobilize massive resources, money, technology, people. He's been able to run a very clever campaign. But let us see whether the people are able to see through his cleverness. And maybe some people in some parts of India think he's too clever by half.
Where do you see in conclusion yourself after this election is over? Mr. Modi went to Tamil Nadu and mocked the fact that you hadn't contested an election this time.
Oh, then he didn't mock Mr. Yashwant Sinha, who's also a former finance minister, who's not contesting an election. He should have.
Why didn't you contest?
I told you, how many times can I tell you? I have to live my life. Will you lend me 10 years of your life? You won't. I have contested 8 elections from the same constituency and won 7 times. I am one of 5 people in the country who has contested 8 elections from the same constituency. One of 5 people. The other best known name is Kamal Nath. Therefore, I decide what I will do in the last 10, 15 years of my life.
So what will you be doing on the 20th of May?
Oh, plenty of things. About 20th of May, if no government is formed, I have to still remain with a firm hand on the wheel. I sincerely hope a government will be formed on the 20th of May. looking at the ways things are unfolding, maybe it will take several days for a government to be formed. But I will be doing a number of things which may not be of interest to you, but it's of great interest to me. And I will be active, I will be very involved in politics, I will be interventionist, and who knows, I may give you more interviews.
On that note, thank you so much, Mr. Chidambaram, for talking to us. Thank you.